Welcome back to Golf Extra. Golf is known as a game of integrity. Even so, when there's money on the line, such as in a professional golf tournament, some indiscretions are bound to happen in the pursuit of victory. Everyone knows about recent rule benders like Patrick Reed. But did you know that there are some lesser-known cheaters in professional golf whose stories are just as interesting? Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this one. Now let's get right into our stories of unknown cheaters in professional golf. Recently, the PGA Tour Canada attracted some extra attention when one of its players, Justin Doden, made an illegal maneuver at a weekend tour event in order to stay within the cut line. As Ryan French on the Monday Q wrote later, at scoring, the player who kept Doden's scorecard confirmed his scores and signed it. Doden then asked for the card, saying he wanted to double-check some things. Not thinking anything of it, the player handed the card to Doden and left the scoring area. When he gave it to Doden, the 18th hole showed a 7. However, after Doden got a hold of the card, he submitted it back to the scorekeepers with a 5 on the 18th hole instead of a 7, giving him a score within the cut line and a chance to keep playing. Doden didn't get away with it though. Doden's playing partners noticed that a score had been erased for the 18th hole and immediately reported it, leading for Doden to withdraw from the tournament. Afterwards, he posted an apology on Twitter saying, "I'm here to confess to the biggest mistake I've made in my life to date. I cheated in golf. This is not who I am. I let my sponsors down. I let my competitors down. I let my family down. I let myself down. I pray for your forgiveness." John 1:9. Major champions like Padraig Harrington commented on the scandal with disbelief, with Harrington saying, "It's like a fully fledged organized tour event and he thought he could get away with it?" However, many golf fans probably didn't know that there actually has been a legend and major champion accused of rules indiscretion, even in major tournaments. Take perhaps the most infamous accusation of impropriety in top-level golf, that Gary Player carrying a small but comfortable lead in the 1974 Open Championship into the final hole of the tournament, pulled an all-time rule break and dropped a second ball after he nearly couldn't find his first off of the tee shot. Within the 5-minute period allowed to find the ball in some deep rough, it seemed unlikely that it would be found. But suddenly, the ball was found, complete with accusations that either Player or his caddy dropped the second ball to avoid taking a penalty and losing his big lead. In his book, To Be the Best, Player refuted these accusations, saying, "There are certain things that are possible and certain things that are impossible. First of all, they had the TV cameras on during the whole incident. For anybody to say that Rabbit, his caddy, Rabbit Dyer, dropped a ball is dreaming. I would put my life on the fact that he wouldn't do something like that. It's impossible. The grass was so thick." He elaborated, "As we walked towards the green, I wondered whether we would ever find the ball. The first thing I did was to ask an official to put the watch on me to observe the 5-minute rule. I was in full view of the cameras. Imagine winning the Open and then somebody claiming I'd gone 7 seconds over my allotted time. It's a unique aspect of golf that anybody, anywhere who spots a rules infringement during play can report it and have official action taken. It was a frantic search in which I even got down on my hands and knees looking for the ball. I asked everybody around me to join in the hunt, but it still seemed like a hopeless task. There was barely a minute of time left when a marshal found the ball." That's not all that Gary's been accused of. In a televised match between player Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, and Tom Watson in 1983, Player allegedly moved a live plant from behind a late-match chip with over $100,000 on the line, something that Tom Watson called him out for. At the time, Watson said, "What I saw was a violation. I challenged Gary on it. I asked him if he was ignorant of the rule, Rule 17-1. What it comes down to is his word against mine." If you're not familiar, Rule 17-1 says, "A player shall not improve his line of play, the position or lie of his ball, or the area of his intended swing by moving, bending, or breaking anything fixed or growing, or by pressing down other irregularities." Watson had more to his argument though, saying, "Whether Player was ignorant of the rule or was trying to improve his line of play is something that lies within his heart. We'll never know. I didn't get much sleep last night for thinking about it. I know this is a keg of dynamite. I know how reputations can be damaged. There are probably even people who will think this is sour grapes, because Player won $170,000 in the game, while Watson won only $10,000. He added, "As I saw it, he was moving a leaf of a weed right behind his ball so he could have a clear path to the ball for the club face of his club. I know the leaf was rooted because it popped back up to its original position. When I took it up with Gary, and I'd have done the same thing in a weekend in Nassau, he said he was touching something beside the ball, not behind it. While some may consider it against the spirit of the game to talk about such things given the touchiness of golf rules, Watson said that he was forced to talk about it after the story was picked up by media, saying, "We all decided it was not healthy for the game to talk about it, but unfortunately it came out. I know that Jack and I and every other player have done things which, in our minds, we didn't believe were rule violations, but someone else thought they were. There are a lot of gray areas, and you're really opening up a big can of worms when you start discussing it publicly." Watson was right. It did open up a can of worms. Immediately, back and forth started over whether or not Watson had called out the potential rule violation in a timely manner. Dave Anderson of the New York Times reported quickly, from 30 feet away, Tom Watson could be heard saying, "I'm accusing you, Gary. You can't do that. I'm tired of this. I wasn't watching you, but I saw it." Gary Player could be heard defending himself, saying at one point, "I was within the rules." This seems to suggest that Watson had seen this sort of behavior from Player before and had had enough. Player didn't go down easily though, saying immediately, "I think there's been a misunderstanding. He was under the impression that I moved the leaf from the ball, and I assured him that that was not the case. Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, and I left it at that." Very surprised to hear that someone wrote about it. With the story persisting in certain circles for years after, though, Player was forced to address it again in his book, saying about the scandal, "I was staggered. Breaking the rules is, after all, the most heinous charge to be laid against any golfer. When it is aimed at a champion, the repercussions can be monumental. It was a truly sorry affair in which the accusation was not made until I had left the course and the game was over. The correct procedure would have been to raise the matter at the time. I was astonished that Tom did not adopt the correct procedure. I think what he did to me that day will haunt him for the rest of his life." It's hard to say, but from Watson's perspective, it's hard not to see him at least somewhat in the right in terms of the story, given that his side is corroborated by media members and only disputed by Player. Exactly what went down, either during the Open Championship in 1974 or in that 1983 televised match, is still up for debate, much like misbehavior by players like Patrick Reed is still hotly debated in the current game. Either way, if we've learned anything, it's that when pride and money are on the line, tensions get high and rules get especially fragile. Comment with your thoughts and make sure to subscribe for more content like this. We'll catch you in the next one.